It is picked off by Eric Walker. Over midfield, he'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Cross Talk TV podcast. Peace. Welcome to another episode of Croc Talk TV. And of course, today is QB Monday. So joining me in a few minutes will be my guy, the one and only Greg Panelli. He's running a few minutes behind as usual, but we'll wait on him. And before we get to him, I'll just be able to get to any questions that you guys have. All right, so first, let's start with one. Make sure you guys subscribe. All right, hit that subscribe button right now. Hit that like button right now. If you are on Periscope, head over to YouTube. Hit that subscribe and like button. All right. Underdog Fantasy, obviously this show and others on the Croc Talk TV platform are sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. So make sure you guys, if you haven't already, download the Underdog Fantasy app. All right. Once you download the app and you deposit a minimum of $10, go ahead and use the promo code Crocky, and you'll get an additional $25 put into your account. All right. So the app is amazing, especially as football starts to pick up. They got over-unders on yards. I saw one, and they had over-unders on, like, Teddy Bridgewater. And you can choose, is he going to go over 65 passing yards or under? And you can put together parlays on that with other players around the league, other positions. It's an amazing app. All right? It's not just a fantasy app. So, obviously, they do have the fantasy football, fantasy basketball, baseball, all that good stuff. But the player props, the over-unders, all that stuff is amazing too. All right, so make sure you guys download the Underdog Fantasy app, promo code Crocky. You'll get an additional $25 into your account. So anyways, I know everybody in here, my people, man, you guys are 49er fans. So real quick, how y'all feeling about the game? Honestly, what did you think about Trey? That's a great question. And I don't know, should I wait? Should I wait for Greg to come on here? All right. I'll talk about, matter of fact, I'll give my opinion while he's not in here, so then you guys can hear his opinion without me, having my influence on him. But, I just watched it back again, and I was like, dude, like, it was good. Like, now, obviously, like, from a statistical standpoint, it wasn't great. It's never great. 5 for 14, 35% passing, whatever it was. But just from the standpoint of seeing his ability, seeing the potential, seeing, like, what this guy will eventually be, and the fact that he didn't even use his legs at all, it really was just, let me just stand in here, try to make throws, and hope that Charlie Warner gets open against safeties. Like, Charlie Warner ain't getting open. Hope that Richie James catches a sideline ball. Richie James dropped it. Hope that River Craycraft can make this catch. And I just think a lot of things that we saw were maybe amplified by his supporting cast, but I do think that, I think Trey Lance is going to be just fine. I was optimistic by what I saw. Obviously, like, the numbers again were not great, and then I watched it back, and I'm just like, oh no, everything that you need in your quarterback, it's there. Watch him go through reads, field reads, far hash throws. Obviously, how he can stretch the field, and you see everything is there. Now it's just maybe he just needs a little bit better supporting cast around him so that he doesn't have those moments where his I guess you have those little dips in his play, I guess you could say. Like, there was a ball with that ball he fired over the middle to Charlie Warner. I'm like, dude, George Kittle gets that. Like, I'm not gonna make a big deal out of the final stat line or box score, but I would say everything that I wanted to see in Trey Lance, aside from him run, because he didn't run, but we know he could do that. Dude was an 1,100-yard runner in 1 year. All right, we know he could take off. But just playing from the pocket, going through reads, I thought that was great. Now, there were times that I saw that, hey, maybe he could dump it off. But I think, and we'll get Greg's opinion on this, all right, because none of this matters what I say. I mean, obviously, I get my opinion, but Greg, he's the QB guy, and he'll talk to us about this. But I did see that there were a few times that he possibly could dump it off in front of him, just get the ball to a running back in space, not take a sack. I thought there were a couple times that could have happened. I did talk about how I felt like he was going through reads very well. I think there were times that even though he's going through reads well, he's still going through a little slow and then rushing the throw from there. So there are definitely levels or areas where he can improve. But I will say everything that he needs to improve on, I think those are things that's going to improve with experience. So there are a lot of people that are like, oh, no, he needs to sit. He's not ready. And it's like, dude, I don't think him sitting is going to fix anything that we saw. I think, like, dude got to play. Now, again, what can you get out of him without him being maybe consistent in some of those other areas? I still think there's going to be the explosive area, the explosive game. I think there are going to be definitely areas where he helps, like running backs, especially when he starts pulling. Teams have to respect that and can't crash down. I mean, we're seeing very basic level of really what Trey Lance is going to bring. Again, we saw the explosive play. We saw Kyle Shanahan pull that out right away, dial up some shots. I think that was really good to see. But overall, I after watching it back, I was like, oh, Trey Lance is going to be all right. Might need a little bit better supporting cast between the offensive line and just his guys out there. I think even then it'll look a lot better. Again, I'm just buying time right now until my guy Greg Panelli joins. He'll be joining us in just a few minutes. All right, so I'll go through any comments that you guys have. Let's see. You guys came through real quick with the comments. Croc, what up? Trey has the skills, 5'14", so it may need work. Again, I think that was a little amplified by the supporting cast that he had on the field with him. When I went back and watched it just from an ability standpoint and what we feel like he's ready for or not ready for, I didn't see somebody that was just like, oh, he needs a lot of work at this, like, and he needs to sit to get that right. All right. But enough of me and my opinion. We're going to get to Greg Panelli and his opinion. I appreciate everybody that's in here right now. Again, if you're not already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I believe I'm closing in on 5,000 subscribers. I think it's really close to 5,000, like maybe 20 short. So if you ain't subscribed to the YouTube channel right now, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button right now. But let's get my guy Greg Panelli in because that's who y'all came to talk to today anyways. All right, so Greg, what up, man?
What's up, Croc? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Living.
So I know you just got back from the gym. Were you working with quarterbacks this morning or were you working out?
Just working out.
Dude, I must say, man, like, I'm extremely proud of you because the Greg I know, I mean, it's crazy, dude. You're getting sexier the older you get. You know what I'm saying? Like when you had this really ugly looking curly hair and then you had like, just the baby fat on you and stuff. Then again, you had the nasty swag. Like it was just nasty. You wear black socks with white cleats. That was terrible. But now you're all growing up. Shoe game is crazy. I'm seeing you be having the tinted with the shades on, hat backwards. You know what I'm saying? I tell like you start to wear your shirts a little tighter around the muscles and stuff. So I just want to let you know I'm really proud of you.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm just trying to be like you, Croc. I'm just trying to be like you.
Yeah. All right. So obviously, we got everybody in here, 75 people in here right now. It keeps going up to like 100 and it dipped back down. But you know who they want to talk about, man. They want to talk about Trey Lance. So real quick, before we got to kind of get in depth with Trey Lance's performance, I want to know from you, just from an overall broad view, what did you think in general?
As far as just Trey Lance, not Jimmy G and Trey Lance, just Trey Lance in general?
Well, we'll talk about Trey Lance. We'll get to your overview on him and then maybe the differences you see between him and Jimmy Garoppolo, and then we'll expand on it from there. How about that?
I think just from the game itself, obviously, you're only going to see a certain amount of stuff. So, what did Jimmy get? 1, 2 drives or something like that?
Just one. Three passes.
3 passes, and it was the same Jimmy Garoppolo that we've seen.
Hold on, because we can't skim. What do you mean by the same Jimmy Garoppolo we've seen? What exactly does that mean?
It wasn't the take any shots, Jimmy Garoppolo. It was more the underneath stuff, take what they're giving you. More of the quick game, West Coast offense type of things, where it was more crossers or speed outs or whatever. Maybe I think one of them was a speed out, one of them was an under route. I forget what the other route was, but nothing too exciting, from Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously. And you're given one drive, you're going to take what they're giving you. You're just getting warmed up, first live action in a while versus somebody else. So I didn't expect a whole lot first. First drive of the game, I wasn't expecting some play action over the top and try and go deep type of thing. I figured it would be exactly what it was.
But 4 air yards passing for for Jimmy Garoppolo. So no. So altogether in his 3 attempts, they traveled 4 yards total past the line of scrimmage, which it's interesting with how they kind of choose to use Jimmy Garoppolo. And everybody, I think they'll take from that. And this is not me getting on Jimmy Garoppolo. I think it's just from the standpoint of how Kyle feels like he's going to be most successful. It's let's do the things that he's comfortable with. And again, it might not be pushing the ball down the field, but it's going to be efficient. And I think that's how people looked at it. But it's like, man, we're talking about 4 air yards and 3 passing attempts.
Right. No, and that was the thing that I noticed about Trey Lance. When you go look at his drives, he did take some shots down the field. And granted, they gave him some plays to take some shots. The touchdown obviously was a shot play where that was a setup, and where he's half rolling and it looks back to the backside. Like that was a setup play. I wouldn't expect. But one thing that a lot of people took away from that was the ease of the throw, like the arm talent. It was a very easy throw for Trey Lance. There was a couple other ones that I really liked.
Hold on, real quick, before we pass on that. So
I knew
right
that
here
was going to come from this. I knew that question was going to come.
Yeah, so it says, could Jimmy make that throw? And I think I'll let you talk, but I think Jimmy could make the throw. I don't think that's the question with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's would Jimmy attempt the throw
to take the shot,
or would he hit? Because Ayuk was open right there, kind of on a crossing route, and that was kind of crossing his face right there. So you would probably think that that's probably the first thing he sees. But would Jimmy try to throw the deep ball where at the time the ball was let go, it wasn't like a clear picture of exactly what was going on?
Yeah, that's one of those more of those anticipation routes where he's running. Sherfield had it's like a post, basically like a setup route. So it's like a post, and then he's breaking out to the corner. So you get everybody flowing to one side of the field. He looks like he's running the post like a high route, maybe on like a flood concept, and then he hits back the other way towards the corner. And he threw it with good anticipation. He threw him open. There was 2 guys over there. They weren't on top of him, but he threw him open. So it was a really good throw. Perfect trajectory. That's more what we'd call, I guess, in the quarterback world would be like a 2 ball, something more hard with an arc, not just like a bomb or a 3 ball over the top or a fade ball.
So but can you hold on? You got to elaborate on that because there are a lot of people in here that want to know more about the quarterback position. That's why this is QB Monday, baby. So you have 1 ball, 2 ball, 3 balls, right?
1 ball would be like your fastball. That's your slants, your stop routes, your curl routes, whatever it may be. Anything that's driven in a hole, sometimes dig routes underneath, or like a basic route from a tight end, something that's got to be on the money right now. So that's your fastball, basically, okay? There's not much room for error. When you throw a ball like that, you got to be perfect, right? You don't give somebody a chance to adjust. Your hole shot routes, your corner routes, like a cover 2 corner where the DB might be sitting in the flat and you're throwing away from the play side safety. Your layered digs, somebody over like a linebacker. Josh did it last year against the Niners where he threw that ball over Fred Warner in a tight window. Like that would be a layered throw. That's a 2 ball, something that's hard with an arc. So you're still accelerating your hand, still throwing it with really good velocity, but you need to layer the ball a little bit more so you'd release it a hair sooner. And that's probably the hardest throw to make. It's the hardest throw for quarterbacks to probably adjust to, especially at the next level where you got guys dropping to depth, linebackers, Tampa backers dropping depth where you're throwing maybe that a bender route. So say it's a bender route where you're going to, instead of a seam on cover 2, they bend it inside.
They bend it right over the defender.
Right? But if you get Tampa 2, which you see a lot in the NFL, where that backer's dropping the depth, instead of just throwing a ball up in the air like a fade route, it would be more of a cover 2 ball, hard with an, or excuse me, not cover 2, a 2 ball, hard with an arc, layered right over that Mike linebacker catch, and then obviously have a chance to score from there. But we use 2 balls a lot. That's that cover 2 ball against corners, like DBs against like yourself. If you lob that ball up into the air when somebody's playing 2 high safeties and that DB sits the flat, if you just lob that ball to the sideline, somebody like yourself would be able to have a chance to recover, or that play side safety is able to get over and make a play on that ball. So there's a time and place for each ball given, and then your 3 balls basically just you're bombing it. It's your fade ball. It's your over the top. It's your end zone corners where it's just 50-50 balls, whatever it may be. So that's probably the hardest ball. The 2 ball is probably the hardest ball for guys to adjust to, even going into college and then going into the NFL as well. So Trey Lance through a couple good ones like that. He did force a few, but I expect it. You expect the rookies to force a few. You expect them to try and to fit some in some windows that just aren't necessarily there. He threw an out route that I believe was dropped. I forget if it was Ayuk or if it was Debo.
It was Richie James on the out route.
Yeah, the out route. Okay. He put it on the money. Like that, even though it was dropped, like that's a throw that sticks out to me. Like he looked comfortable with his feet, took a 3-step and just drove the out route. And I'm like, okay, this is exactly what we want to see. This is the arm talent that you want to see. This is some of the things that we haven't seen from Jimmy, just because I don't know if he really has that ability to punch a ball like that. Now he does do it, but he has to throw it with a little bit more anticipation. So Trey Lance took some shots. He also took some hits, but he popped back up. He looked good out there. I think he looked pretty calm for the most part. Even when there was pressure, he looked calm. He'd pop back up and he operated the offense pretty well. So it was exciting to see overall, I think, with what he did, the plays that he was given. And I don't want to jump too far ahead because I don't know what questions we have coming. But I think overall, for our first game for Trey Lance, I think it was a good showing. Obviously, they'll go clean some things up this week with film, and I expect them to probably get some more reps, obviously, this upcoming week. So it'll be interesting to see how many Jimmy gets this upcoming week and how many Trey gets. I'm assuming Jimmy will probably get a couple drives, and then Trey will take over till half, and then they'll do the same kind of thing they did moving forward from there.
All right, I have a couple more questions, but real quick, got Brandon Vincent, and he asked, basically, how do you feel about the other quarterbacks around the league? We're going to get to this, Brandon. We're going to get to this. I promise I want to wait a little bit. Were you able to catch any of them? Because I know I sent you my information later.
I did. I didn't
Okay.
get – you know what? I didn't get – I'm not even going to lie. I didn't even watch Trevor Lawrence. I totally forgot about Trevor Lawrence. He was the first overall pick, but I figured that Trevor Lawrence is starting regardless. It doesn't even – I'm going to be the guy.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence. It was my daughter's first birthday this weekend, so I caught some games and I didn't.
All right, Brandon, we're gonna get back to this, Brandon. I got a few more questions about Trey Lance. All right, and I appreciate the contribution for sure. All contributions are much appreciated. So you had Trey Lance, and one thing I noticed, even more so than Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think there's different ways that people view this. Right, he was, I guess, a little reluctant to take the check down consistently. It seems like he is looking downfield, and that could potentially lead to a sack or two because his eyes are 10 yards and past. So even on the play where Brandon Ayuk dropped that first, it was like one of the first passes early where he stepped up in the pocket, rolled out, then threw a dart to Brandon Ayuk, and he threw it in between. There were kind of like three defenders. I mean, he put it on them though, right there. Like, there's no excuse to drop it. But it showed me like, man, there's definitely a different level of aggressiveness with the way that he's kind of viewing the field and how he wants to play. And that's what I want. Like, throw the ball downfield, like throw the ball to these guys. And it's exciting to see. But could that also kind of potentially work against him to where now he's holding on to the ball a little too long and starts to take sacks that are a little unneeded because maybe there is a guy open in the flats. Right. But how do you balance that? How do you balance that aggressive mindset with taking the check down?
It's tough, especially like I said, first game, the nerves are there, the anxiety is going to be there a little bit, the excitement's going to be there. You want to show what you got. You want to be able to punch the ball down the field. There was a few, obviously, that I noticed where they were doing the man blitz stuff or some of their zone blitz stuff, but a lot of times they'd bring 5 or 6, and there was guys underneath. Like right away, there would be an under route coming across, and Trey Lance's eyes are upfield, and he's taking a sack on that play. And I think it stuck out to me twice where it was almost the same type of thing where we had an under route check down for him, and he does have his eyes upfield. They bring pressure, and instead of noticing the pressure, his eyes were upfield, and instead of dumping it off to one of the slots coming across or one of the receivers coming across, he ends up taking a sack. So I think that it's hard to – obviously, we're not in that position, so – just given the fact that he's looking downfield and trying to make those plays downfield is exciting, right? Like we're wanting to see that. We're wanting to see him take some of those risks. But at the same time, I think it's going to come with film study, being able to process that information, the defense that you're going up against. as a rookie, being able to see those blitzes a little bit sooner and recognize when there is going to be somebody hot underneath that you have to check down to versus, okay, I got a 5-man pressure with 5-man protection. I'm okay. I'm protected. I can look downfield and trust my line. When they're bringing 6 and the backs out, obviously you're going to have to be hot off of somebody. And we had those under routes that were able to replace the blitzing linebackers. And unfortunately, he just didn't see him. But I would expect that again from rookies. It happened multiple times throughout the weekend with other rookies. It happens all the time to NFL veterans. That's just the defense winning that certain play, right? You're trying to take a shot down the field, or you're trying to look a little bit further downfield than you should be. You get greedy sometimes, and the defense wins. But it's got to be that happy medium, obviously, where you're going to take those shots, but also you got to take what they're giving you too.
Right now, there are a lot of people that will watch that game and they see the final numbers. And I mean, again, regardless of the numbers, there were a lot of things that I saw that were very encouraging from his play and really what I want to see out of my quarterback. But with the things that he does need to improve on, are those things that he's going to get better at by just sitting and watching film? Or is he going to have to continue to play, get those reps, even if he's the day one starter, and really kind of work through those things as he progresses as a quarterback?
I think both. I think that just goes with any quarterback, not even necessarily a rookie, but a year 2, year 3, year 4 guy, where you're still finding ways to get comfortable with the dudes that are around you. There's new guys that have come in. There's new linemen that are in there. As far as the film watching, that's obviously going to happen. He's going to watch more film. He's going to be able to break things down. He's going to be able to see the mistakes that he made. I guarantee they sat in there, or they're sitting in there today and they're watching the game and exactly what well, they probably watched it yesterday, but as far as what he did or what he could have done different, seeing the blitzes, seeing those the tendencies from the defense, right? And it goes with film watching and being confident in what you see pre-snap and having an idea of what they're doing. So I don't know how many protections he was changing. I didn't see a lot of it, and I wouldn't anticipate a lot of it the first 4 or 5 games from him anyways, as far as changing those protections. Not a ton, at least. And they'll probably rely more on the center to do so. But just being able to sit back there and take those hits again, right? Because Trey Lance didn't play for, I don't even know how long it's been now. I guess it's almost been 2 years, right, since he's been on
Right.
a year and 8 months or so. So just to be able to get back in there and take those shots again and feel the live fire, the more he does it, the more comfortable he'll get. The more comfortable he'll get with the offense as well. So I would anticipate next game some of those mistakes that he made, as far as not hitting checkdowns or not taking the things underneath, would probably be a little bit more eliminated. But again, I want to keep seeing him throw the ball down the field. I want to, even if it's forced a couple times in preseason, it's all right to do that stuff during preseason. Let's see what he's got. He's showing us what he's got as far as the arm talent. Some of the rollouts he threw. That one, the first one was dropped. He rolled out, got out of pressure, drove it. It was dropped. But those types of things are exciting to see, because it's like, okay, now we got a dude with a cannon. Like, let's watch him let it rip here.
Right.
So, no, I think overall from that perspective, just given the things that we saw from him, I'm excited to see the next game. I think some of the mistakes will be eliminated, and he's going to continue putting the pressure on Jimmy.
Do you think that was part of the game plan to really kind of, for Kyle Shanahan, do things with him that is like, I want to see how he responds to this or how he does this? Because I think Kyle could have easily came out and done some things. And again, no shot at Jimmy Garoppolo. I know there's a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo fans, but I think he could have easily came out and said, hey, we're just going to do these quick little play action, dump it off, quick slant, get the ball out your hand. But it seemed like he did things to, hey, let's be a little bit more aggressive with him. Let's see, like you said, let's see what he has. We know what he is, and I'm pretty sure Kyle knows the way that he can manufacture completions and looking good for him. But we need to see what's his overall skill set when the live bullets are flying and you can finally get hit. Again, we didn't see him in shotgun a whole lot, doing any read option stuff. We know he can run the ball. He didn't take off at all. 0 rushing attempts in that entire game. It seems like that was part of maybe their goal, was to get him to sit more in the pocket and throw from there. So they probably know things that they can improve on. Am I seeing that kind of the right way?
I would agree with you. I think that very easily it could have been a boring showing. Like Zach Wilson's was a boring showing from an overall perspective. We didn't really see him throw the ball downfield a ton. It's more play action underneath, dump it off, keep him safe, just let him get a feel for the game and get comfortable. I think he threw Lance into the fire a little bit, which is good. Like you said, he probably wanted to see how he would react with, 5-step drops or play action, throwing the ball more so downfield and not necessarily looking at the underneath stuff, but just trying to see how he would react with deeper concepts. So I think with doing so, obviously he gets to see what he does need to work on. Where's his eyes? Where is he looking? Like you said, he was looking further downfield than the underneath stuff. Maybe try to force a few things. So I think that with what he was given, he did well. But I think there's obviously a ton more that Shanahan could have done to make him look better, to make him, the completions or the numbers look better, if you would. Throwing underneath stuff, throwing quick game. But, giving him more pure progressions, reading 1, 2 to 3 instead of a one-man concept or a one-man read, whatever it may be. So forcing him to scan the field. And he showed that he obviously could do that, but there was some times, obviously, where there was a little bit more cluster and he still threw the ball. But I would fully expect Shanahan to jump on him this week and correct some of those things. And maybe he'll open it up. And again, they're not going to open it up a ton. Shanahan's not going to just show everything he's got. I'm sure there's a ton of new plays that he wants to put in, and he's not going to show a ton of it. So it's not going to be super sexy, if you would, during preseason. It's going to be a lot of the base plays. And then I would expect him, obviously, moving forward to open it up during the regular season. So.
Yeah, and Mike McDaniel's the offensive coordinator. He too was like, look, we want to see him have plays that we can correct. Like,
right.
We know the type of talent he has and the type of ability, but there are things to get him up to speed with where we are going to want him. He has to mess up so we can work on those things. And they also talked about how he's a guy who doesn't make the same mistake twice most of the time. So, them seeing him mess up or try to drive that, what you call the 2-ball into that kind of corner route where you had the cover 2 corner sinking underneath it and almost intercepted it. It's like, all right, we needed you to see that so we can get in the meeting rooms and tell you what to look for. Or maybe you can hold the corner a different way and then throw that instead of just staring it down. Now they got the film so they can help him see those things. And if he is who they say he is, somebody that doesn't make the same mistake twice, then we should see him improve on at least that. And hey, make a new mistake. And I know, coaches oftentimes say that. They say, make new mistakes. Don't make the same. I say that to my son too. He pisses me off. Always makes the same mistakes. Like, come on, bro. So if it were you, and obviously like that's a small sample size, and we'll probably ask this same question again next Monday. But right now, would you lean more towards playing him over Garoppolo, or would you say, no, Jimmy's going to be our guy no matter what, week 1 against the Lions?
I think it's going to be Jimmy regardless, week 1 against the Lions. I mean, obviously we didn't see it. It wasn't the same amount of reps, like, the same amount of drives with Jimmy as it was with Trey, and running the same plays with the same defense and see how they react. We didn't get to see a ton of that, obviously, but I think with Jimmy getting a drive and Trey Lance showing what he's got with a quarter and some change that he got in there, I would fully expect Jimmy to still be the starter week 1. I don't think that the preseason is really going to change much. Sorry if there's fans out there that are expecting something different. I really don't expect something different. I'm not sure what your take is on it, but I can't see him making a change just based off of preseason. It'd have to be 3-4 weeks into the season and Jimmy really crapping the bed, if you would, in order for them to make that switch.
Right. And I don't think that's going to happen for Jimmy Garoppolo. He's fairly efficient and comfortable with what the 49ers are asking him to do. All right, so again, back to Brandon Vincent's original question. And again, Brandon, man, appreciate the contribution here. He said, what did you think about Zach Wilson's debut? And you kind of alluded a little bit to it, to where you felt like they wanted to put him in the best situation to succeed, as opposed to put him in a situation where they just want to see how he reacts to certain things.
It was a more high-stress situation. Yeah, it looked a lot of underneath stuff for him, some play action things for him. One thing that did stick out to me was his arm talent. obviously he's got a really strong arm, but he was throwing some balls in there, showing his arm talent. He threw some lasers. He had some completions that were really solid completions, but he looked comfortable. And that was the thing I was going to say about all the rookie quarterbacks that I watched. Most of them looked pretty comfortable. It wasn't a lot of happy feet, or there wasn't a lot of happy feet between them all. Most of them looked like they had some clue of what the offense was doing and what they were trying to get out of the offense, given the plays they had or that were called. But Wilson didn't play a ton. Their run game looked solid. They did run the ball a lot, obviously, but I don't think they really put him in a position to just get out there and get smacked. And I wouldn't expect them to in the preseason anyways, trying to keep him healthy. Another quarterback, I think Justin Fields obviously looked comfortable. Watching his game, he probably looked the most lax and the most comfortable. It was almost too lax sometimes. Or it's like he was just kind of chilling back there. He didn't look overly excited about the game. Not from a bad thing, but just from a poise perspective, he looked very calm back there. He obviously showed some things with his legs, showed some things with his arms. He forced a couple, and then he had a couple good throws. He had that touchdown that was a throwback. That was a wide open touchdown.
Right.
So, he kind of reminded me a little bit of Josh as far as what he was doing and how calm he looked with his legs and being able to extend plays. He's got that big frame. He's got a big arm. So I would expect him to probably – it's that to me is more of a true competition than it is for Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. With Dalton coming in and being the dude there that's supposed to be the starter, I would fully expect it going down to the wire as far as the competition there in Chicago between Justin Fields and Andy Dalton, more so than it would be with Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right. And I think they're going to have to look at it like there's Andy Dalton, who some people thought had been shot, for the last couple of years. Does he give you a better chance to win than this rookie quarterback? And I think with all these guys, and the 49ers definitely are in a unique situation, but they all seem ready to play, as ready as you can be for a rookie. Like, none of them, it seemed like anything was moving too fast for them. They all had their different situations and different challenges that they have, but I think it was easy to see how each guy could potentially be successful in their first year. I think a guy that I watched, and I don't want to say I saw different things or opinions on this guy, but Mac Jones, to me, he looked like what I expected him to look like, for good or for bad. I thought coming out, he threw a really good deep ball, right? He was a terrific deep ball passer in college football, and he came out right away, and he threw that deep ball on the money in the end zone. Now the defensive back broke it up. It was tremendous coverage, but just his aggressiveness to throw that pass and where the ball placement was, I was like, that I expect that from him. Then we also saw some of the checkdowns. We also saw the ball kind of die on him a couple of times. And one thing is, he doesn't have the biggest arm. Like, he doesn't have a powerful arm. Like, he can throw the ball deep and good, but he doesn't have a powerful arm on drive throws, especially if he can't get his feet going. And I saw that kind of work against him a little bit. So it was like, okay, like, he is what I thought he was, which was maybe somebody who probably won't do anything special and make maybe splash plays, but he's going to be efficient, and he's going to make good plays, and he's going to make the right decision. And I saw one thing that said he had 0 turnover-worthy throws. So I think that's probably what you would expect out of Mac Jones, right?
So, like a Jimmy Garoppolo then.
Yeah.
Realistically speaking, yeah, he did take he had that good throw downfield. He threw a couple that were like, as far as the quarterbacks in his draft class with the same throws, you can tell that the arm talent overall on those drive throws isn't the same as Wilson's or Fields or Trey Lance. But again, it's not always necessarily about that. The ability to operate that offense, that has been, the underneath West Coast style offense for however many years. And Tom Brady operated it very efficiently. There wasn't a ton of throws. There was a lot of setup plays when Tom Brady was there, right? A lot of play action stuff. You get crossers with the tight ends, guys that are getting open in that second level, not necessarily deep underneath safeties, not over the top of safeties a lot. But there are a lot of setup play action plays, quick stuff underneath that I think he did a good job at. he didn't look. He looked pretty calm, But I again, watching him and watching that game, it wasn't overly exciting. I would say probably the most exciting guy to watch was probably Trey Lance and Justin Fields, just because they have those abilities to extend plays a little bit more. Even Wilson does, but we didn't see enough of him to do those things. But yeah, Mac Jones was probably exactly what I thought he would be.
Yeah.
Given his first debut.
I do have a question real quick about Trey Lance and his kind of mechanics, right? And there are a lot of people that had questions about it, whether it's his throwing motion, his delivery, and things like that. We spoke about that on the previous episode. But did you see anything that jumped out from the standpoint of anything that would like worry you with his feet or throwing motion or anything like that that could potentially get him in any type of trouble?
No. Honestly, if anything, the ball looked like it was jumping out of his hands a little bit quicker. He had more of a sense of urgency. I think his feet looked clean. I looked at most of the out routes. Like that's one of the things when you throw out routes, a lot of guys don't get their feet underneath them, or cutting receivers off with a front step and really driving the ball. They'll open up their hips sometimes too soon and kind of throw it and rely on their arms. Trey Lance looked like he had some pretty solid feet. He had a good base in the pocket. He looked really comfortable. It didn't look like he had happy feet, and he was backpedaling to make throws or, retreating in the pocket when he didn't have to. I mean, he stepped into a lot of throws, but his arm, as live as it looked, his mechanics looked clean to me. I mean, it looked how they've been looking. Nothing changed to me. But as far as the arm speed goes, from the mechanical perspective, he was ripping it. I mean, it looked like he was throwing it with even faster hand speed. And the ball was jumping out of his hands pretty quick. So there's nothing that's there that I haven't seen that worries me, or to say that, he's not going to be able to do it because the motion looks longer than it should or whatever it may be. I think his hand speed looked even quicker than it has.
So if there's one thing leading into next week that you would be looking for Trey Lance to improve on, what would that one thing be?
Seeing the defense immediate post snap. What are they going to give him? Obviously with the offense that we've had, the West Coast style offense that we've had, that relies on some of those underneath or more of the setup routes, play action stuff underneath. Just seeing the defense a little bit sooner. Like I said, I'm sure Shanahan's going to jump on him for that and make sure that he's more or well aware of what they're giving him sooner. But not so much looking downfield, but being able to take those underneath shots that are going to keep the chains moving as well, and just processing that information a little bit as far as blitz pickups and protections, things like that.
And also that'll help if he has like Alex Mack out there, right? I mean, that's a veteran center. He's like 36, 37 years old. He's somebody that definitely, if you're a young quarterback, you like to lean on him a little bit, helping with line protections and things like that, right? Like, is that something that centers can help with?
It's huge. Being able to rely on your veteran O-lineman is huge. Hearing the calls that they're making at the line of scrimmage or seeing the calls that they're setting. Shanahan, let's say that Trey Lance was going to be the guy week one. He would rely heavily on Alex Mack to make a lot of those calls for him. I would expect that at least. Obviously, Trey's going to have to make some of those calls, but Alex would definitely be helping out as far as, calling who the mic is or setting the protections off the mic or the will or whatever it may be, given if it is a missed call, they'll make sure that they're going to take care of it up front for at least the first few games until Trey Lance does feel comfortable enough that he does have all of those protections set. And that's the thing too, is it's never going to be perfect. From a rookie perspective, Zach Wilson's going to go in there week one. Field, if he's the starter week one, and Lawrence and the rest of the guys, there's going to be missed protection calls. They are going to get smacked a couple times. But it takes those failures to learn, right? Those are the mistakes that you talk about, make new mistakes. Like if you miss a protection one week and you see the same defense step up the next week, giving the same or showing the same blitz, and you miss it again, like obviously coach is going to get pissed off after a while. And you're going to be pissed because you're getting smacked. But being able to see, okay, I missed it here and I should have changed the protection here, or I should have been hot off this guy. And I don't even think it was necessarily a protection issue. When they bring 6, there's 4 down, and then the Mike and the Will or the Mike and the Sam are blitzing, and you don't pick it up as a quarterback, like that's your responsibility to be hot off of those linebackers. And he missed a couple of those. So I would fully expect him to make those changes, to start processing that information a little bit quicker, given when they are blitzing and turn the corner on those things, moving forward.
All right, we got a live chat right now. If you guys have any questions, go ahead, send those questions in before we get up out of here right now. I want to make sure everybody, if you're not already, because we got 130 people in here, make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the like button. All right, I've seen a lot of people talk about how they love the show and they appreciate your knowledge of the quarterback position, Greg. So that's big time. I'm glad I reached out to you to kind of do this every Monday.
Yep, no, it's been good so far.
Yeah, so here we go.
Before you even get into the question, there was a lot of heat on the how do you want your steaks cooked from last week when I posted it. Some people didn't even want to put it on a post. They just sent me a DM. They said anything over medium and you're crazy, or anything over well you're crazy, or whatever it may be. But I don't think there may have been one person that agreed with you out of everybody that I post on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever it may be.
First of all, I don't know. I responded on the post and I put medium well, so I don't even know what you're talking about.
You changed up real quick because you probably got flamed on Twitter for it, huh?
I've been flamed on Twitter for it before. My father-in-law, he cooked me a steak one time, and I was like, well done. Like that, right? And I put that on Twitter. I should have never did that. There were probably about 100, literally 100 to 200 comments. Like, I'm not even joking. About 200 comments about people saying they're going to block me, unfollow me.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, so yeah, that was tough. All right, here we go. So read some of these comments off real quick. Unlike Fields, Lance was told by Shanny to not run. Wonder how Fields would have played without running.
I think that when you start restricting guys like that, they're not in their comfort zone. Like Justin Fields is built around being able to extend plays with his feet. If you force somebody to sit back in the pocket, they're going to end up probably making throws downfield that aren't the greatest. They're going to start forcing the ball to routes that aren't necessarily open. So when you restrict guys like Fields, the game is going to completely change. If you restrict a guy like Fields, you're not getting the Fields that you drafted. 100. Right. That the ability you drafted him because he has abilities just to extend plays with his feet alone that a lot of other guys don't have. Lance, although a great athlete, I wouldn't say he's as freakishly built and athletic to withhold some of those hits. I didn't see him do a ton of it in college, given the fact that he was in a pro-style offense, so he didn't have to run the ball as much. He didn't have to show us as much, right? Ohio State's offense is built around being able to run the ball at quarterback as well. So he's used to doing those things, used to taking those hits. Now, I'm not saying that Trey Lance isn't an athlete, because I would say he's as good as an athlete as probably anybody. But do you really want your guy to come in that you just traded all this equity for and come in and start having him run the ball? The 49ers offense, again, is not built around the quarterback running the ball anyways. The Bears, I would expect them to have plays built around Justin Fields running the ball. So I think when you do that, you're going to start you would see a completely different quarterback and maybe getting balls thrown that you don't want thrown just because he's trying to would be trying to extend plays with his arm more so than just his feet.
Right. All right. Here we go. And then, do you think Kyle will incorporate some RPOs into the offense? And do you think the loss of Aaron Banks will affect the development of our line? So here's a two-part question. All right. But first, do you think Kyle will incorporate RPOs?
Absolutely.
And probably,
most NFL offenses are doing RPOs anyways.
Yeah.
But I get what he's saying, more of the college RPO stuff out of the shotgun, probably that quick game RPO with the ability to run the ball. Oregon's always done that. Ohio State's done it. A lot of teams are doing it now at the college level, and then we're starting to see it more in the NFL level. So I would 100% expect.
Yeah, and we saw that with Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, if you kind of look back, there's several games where I can think off the top of my head where Jimmy Garoppolo was like under center too. I mean, he wasn't even just doing it from shotgun; he was doing it from under center, and it was like and I don't even know if this is considered an RPO, but it was like he could raise up, and you see everybody run blocking this way, but then he throws a slant backside to Deebo Samuel.
Yeah. So it is still considered RPO. I mean, we did it even at JC. Do it. It's doesn't look like, or most people wouldn't say it's a conventional RPO because it's not in that shotgun play action, like inside zone across and then pull and go. But if the O-line is blocking, they're still blocking up front as a run play. The running back is still going to treat it as a run play. The quarterback has the option based off of what the defense is giving him to throw the ball or not. So Jimmy does do those things under center. A lot of quarterbacks will do it under center. It just doesn't look like your conventional RPO that we see at the college level because most of them are in the shotgun.
Yeah, and we saw it in the Super Bowl as well. There were a lot of times down the stretch where people were like, man, why didn't the 49ers just run the ball? And really what happened was there were 2 plays called and or an RPO called where Jimmy could either check into a pass play and he kind of had the option at the line of scrimmage based on what he was seeing from the defense. And what the Chiefs were doing was bringing everybody in to at the line and basically daring Jimmy Garoppolo to throw the ball. So he was raising up and throwing it, and we saw a couple of those get batted down the stretch. So that's what it was. There were a lot of people, they wanted the 49ers to run the ball. They actually had run plays called, but they could check into a pass play if the defense kind of presented that look for them. There was another question here. The second part to this was Aaron Banks, who was the 49ers' second round pick. He was a guard. Looked to be struggling just a little bit. Sounds like he's kind of been up and down throughout camp, and I think I use the word struggling, but I think you could say, he's being a rookie, and he's having some things he has to work through. Well, he hurt his shoulder, and he's going to miss some time. I think it was like a few weeks. And Matt here asked, do you think that it hurt his development?
I would say from any player, missing any time at this level, as young as they are, especially the rookies, any player during camp that's missing time is going to affect their development a little bit, right? These guys played college football, yes, and they've all played football most of the time their whole life, or most of them their whole life. But being able to pick up on a different level now, where the expectations are a little bit different, and being able to get the blitz pickups, the pass protections, the run game, how to block it, the verbiage that's being used, that live fire. So, yeah, I would expect him, it's going to affect his development a little bit. But, when he comes back, then it's going a little bit harder and things are going to be a little bit more sped up for him. Now as fast as training camp is for these guys, it's slower. Once you get into the season, there's not a ton of time to just be working on the little things. It's more of, practicing in game week and getting ready for the opposition. So it might affect them. But, I think that with the guys that we have there, I would fully expect Banks to be ready to rock and roll when the time is called. So,
yeah. And I think it'll definitely hurt. Like you said, I mean, it'll hurt any player rookie year coming in, and you need those reps. You need that time. And it's definitely going to hurt him even more because, again, it seemed like there were a lot of things that he had to kind of work through, and he was maybe struggling with a little bit. So this is a vital time in his kind of early production to kind of push or try to push for a starting job. And now I'm pretty sure that's what they drafted him for. If it were me, Banks would not have been drafted by me. I would have drafted Terrace Marshall there, the receiver from LSU. And if it wasn't Terrace Marshall, then Asante Samuel. Like, those were the 2 guys that I would have drafted. But they went in the trenches and drafted Aaron Banks. And even then, after watching this film, and I discussed this with my guy Brian Peacock on Locked On 49ers. And I got to, 49ers, 49er fans, I got to give you all a lot of love, because Locked On 49ers, we are consistently the #1 football podcast on that network. So the 49er fans, you guys are really behind us. And we have thousands and thousands, bro, it's a daily podcast. And we have thousands and thousands and thousands of listens every single day. It's really crazy to me, kind of mind-blowing to see the numbers. But on top of that, I was #1 on the entire network for likes and retweets. And a lot of that contributes to us getting a lot of the listens and things like that. So shout out to the Niner game, man. You guys showed up big time on that. But yeah, here we go. Next question. Greg, did you see that IQ factor that Shanahan adored? Or maybe is it too early? Any chance Kyle packages up an opportunity for Lance weeks 1, 2, and 3, and so on, while Jimmy G is the starter? So basically, Kyle liked the smarts and everything with Trey Lance. Do you think that was put on display in this game?
Not so much. Not a ton. I think a little bit, obviously, but not a ton. The IQ things that he adores most about Lance is probably, the leadership, the ability to change plays at the line, the ability to change protections, and again, him being so fresh in this offense and being able to be comfortable enough to make those changes at the line of scrimmage right now. I don't think we're there yet. And I don't think that Shanahan probably expected him to have a play call at the line and then have Trey Lance make that change right off the bat. But I would expect it to be coming here in the few weeks. So not yet. I think it's still a little bit early. And as far as Kyle packaging up opportunities for Lance weeks 1, 2, 3, I think it all depends on how the game is going. If right now, given what we have right now, I don't think he's going to package anything up. If he does that, then you might as well tell Jimmy Garoppolo, see you later if he's already down. If Jimmy goes into week 1, 2, and 3 and he's killing it, I wouldn't expect to see Lance anytime soon. If there's some slip-ups, some things that aren't looking too sharp, God forbid Jimmy goes down, whatever it may be, then obviously we're going to see him. But I wouldn't expect to see Trey Lance within the first couple of weeks in any games.
Right. And John, man, I appreciate the contribution there. That's what's up. Much love. Everybody that's kind of contributed to the show today, we appreciate all that. I think that's going to do it for this episode of QB Monday with my guy, Greg Panelli, as usual. We'll catch you guys next Monday. Greg, you got any final words?
No, I think that's it. I'm excited to obviously see what's going to happen this week. I think some of those
they're in practice with the Chargers. They got the whole
yeah, so it'll be good to see. Hopefully we'll get some more footage during the week of Trey before they play this upcoming weekend. But I think him seeing another team this week in practice, seeing some of those exotic coverages that might be thrown at him, some of those blitzes, I would fully expect him to make a little bit more of a recovery as far as where he missed certain throws or certain checkdowns this week, and tune some things up going into this upcoming weekend with the game.
All right. Well, everybody, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you guys subscribe to the show. Make sure you guys like this episode. We've consistently had over 100 people in here, 130 right now. I appreciate everybody for coming in. But till next time, see ya.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Aaron Rodgers over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Croc Talk TV podcast. Peace.